Hi, this is Luisa Sanchez, and I'm excited to be part of Humans of Telecom.
Hey everyone, a very warm welcome to Humans of Telecom, the Unplugged podcast. This is your host Anurag Aggarwal, Chief Growth Officer at Globe Teleservices. This is a podcast that goes beyond our work lives with an aim to bring us closer to the human side of some of the brightest and most wonderful members of the telecom community. Today we have with us a very dear friend of mine, someone who is extremely fun loving and super athletic, and somebody who comes from the Latin American part of the world, a place which always brings up images of beaches, fun, and romance. Please welcome Luisa Sanchez, VP Messaging at Identidad Technologies. Luisa, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Tell us, where are you based and where are you joining us today from?
Hi, Anurag. Thank you very much. So I'm based in Miami, Miami, Florida, and I'm joining today from actually my office, right in front of the sea. So looking at a very nice and beautiful day.
That's wonderful. And have you always been in Florida? Have you grown up here? Tell us a bit more about where is Louisa, where was Louisa born, and where has life taken her?
All right. Yes. No. I was actually born in Colombia, in Bogota. I lived there until I was 12 years old, and then my parents decided to move to Miami. So my dad basically joined forces with my older siblings, and they opened up a company, and new opportunities came. So given the situation of the country that we lived at the moment, and looking for new opportunities and a brighter future, my parents decided to move out of Colombia, come to Miami. So yeah, I've been living here since 2002, so most of my life by now. So Miami is home for me, and yeah, this is what where I've been living for the past around 20 years now, 21 years. With the exception of 2 years that I studied abroad, and I decided to go into other cities to look at other perspectives of life, and being outside, and not really close to family, just living by myself. So yeah, that's where I've been in my past 20 years.
And when you say abroad, so outside of Miami and Bogota, where else have you been settled all this while?
Yeah, so when I graduated from university, actually, I decided that I didn't really want to go into real life yet. So I looked into some master opportunities, international marketing master opportunities, and I found one that was quite interesting in London, in England. So I moved there for 1 year. I stopped working, and I was just focusing on school and on my masters, and I stayed there for the entire 2013. I Once I graduated, I was supposed to come back home to Miami, and I was not ready yet to come to Miami. I wanted, to live a little bit more by myself. I wanted to keep on living this, big city life, and the movement and so on. So I decided to move to New York. I also had a boyfriend at a time. He moved there, and I said, you know what, this is my opportunity to start, to live by myself and keep on doing that. So I moved to New York. I stayed there for 1 year, and then I said, living in New York, you really feel, the cold, the movement. It's a very exciting city, but it is tough. And after a year, I said, this is it for me. I want to go back to Miami. I love the sun. I love the beaches. I want to be back home. So I decided to come back to Miami, and that's where I've been ever since.
And how about your professional side? I mean, we all know that Identidad Technologies, it's your family started that business. So tell us a bit more about it. What's the background of Identidad? I'm sure our listeners, so many have done business with Identidad. I, for one, I remember an interesting encounter back in ITW in Chicago. I think it was 2018. And we had a meeting with Identidad, and there were, I think, four people sitting, and everybody was a Sanchez. And then I was like, okay, is this a coincidence? And then I think I realized, okay, there are brothers, sisters, father, they're all all part of the same team. So that was my moment of revelation that Identidad is managed by a family. So tell us a bit more about the company and who started it, what was the vision when it started, and how have things shaped up.
Yeah, so yes, as you said, this is a family business. Well, it started in 2001. So my older siblings, they came into the United States and they started working at a telecommunications company. Each one of them in a different company. My brother was, focused on the, engineering side. He was more operations and so on. My sister, she's very um, outspoken person, and she was in the commercial side. So they started talking one day, and the idea of opening up a business and doing something together, was interesting. They spoke to my father, who lived in Colombia at the time, each by their side. Each talked separately to my dad, and they said, there's good opportunities here. Maybe each one of them independently thought about opening up, a business and doing something related to telecom. And that's when my dad came into the picture, and he said to them, you know what? Why don't you two join forces and open something together? And my dad had a lot of experience in managing new companies and, opening up new things. And he said that he was going to help them build things and then step out, and that's how it started. He never stepped out because the business, thankfully, started growing. 1 year later, he decided, to move, which is the reason why we came to Miami. My mom, of course, said, you know what, there's opportunities in this and in the States, and this seems like an interesting, business. So yeah, let's go. And well, I was the younger, and we are four siblings. So the two older ones are the ones that open up the company with my dad, and then I was quite young. I was 12 years old, and my older brother was 15. So the four of us moved here to Miami, and that's when things started to evolve. I've always worked in Identidad, since I was, I guess, 13, 14 years old. I remember coming here and doing small things and, seeing the company growth and so on. So, yeah, the company started as a voice carrier, very focused on Central America. They thought, we're going to do something, and it's going to be like an intermediary, something about Honduras. And then things just started evolving as all business, things shifted in a good way. And yeah, the company started to grow. Today we are more than 75 people. So I guess next time you sit in ITW, you might be with a couple of Sanchez, but you'll find many other people. There's been a very nice evolution of the company. And one of the nicest things is that when you work with family, yes, you have your heart, because you need the company to work, not only because of you, but because you have your mom, your dad, your sibling, your nephew, your niece. Everyone depends on this. So I guess that's what makes Identidad a bit different. We are all working towards the same goal. And yeah, it's been a very nice and fun experience.
Tell us some interesting stories. I mean, typically we don't hear of so many family run businesses, and or at least of such large scale. We don't hear of such companies within the CPaaS telecom space. So tell us some interesting stories. Has there been any fun moment? uh, are any of your siblings now married, and do we have uh, other people also from the Sanchez family who've become part of Identidad? How's it been going?
All right, yep. So in regards to the family, at this moment, well, my dad still works in the company. He's the executive chairman of the company. And then my brother Andres, he's the CEO, and my other brother, Santiago. He's the VP of operations. My sister, who is the one of the founders, she is in charge of the foundation of the company, and we do have some other members. So when my sister got married, um, her husband or ex-husband today, he joined the company and he's still with us. He's part of the family. He's another sibling, even though he's not married with my sister anymore. And my two brothers are also married. Their wives are not in the company, well, in the day to day. But of course, it's always there's always a woman behind a man like that. In regards to funny stories, oof, there's a lot. When you're in the day to day, we tend to separate a lot family and business. When we're in the family, in a family setting, at a barbecue or a party, or just dinner, we don't really talk about business unless it's like gossip or things like that, but not like serious business. So there's a couple of years, I guess, like more than 15 years ago, um, we had a route. It was, we were sending traffic to Somalia, or a country like that, and one of my siblings called my dad, and they said, hey, dad, Somalia fell. So he was trying to say, like, Somalia, the route fell, it was not working anymore. And in Spanish, Somalia is like a lady's name, like a name of a person. And my dad started saying, oh my god, is she okay? Did she fall hard? Like he was thinking about someone else. So yeah, that's the kind of relationship we have, and the differences between where your mind is at the moment.
That's interesting, and for me also, it's been an interesting journey in the CPaaS space because there is so much of Spanish influence, and I always try to show off my little bit of Spanish, and then eventually, when I'm done with the hola and muy bien, and then when the person starts getting more into Spanish, I immediately take cover by saying "Yo hablo poco español," and then I run away. But yeah, I mean, I guess as a family, when people are working together, it's a very different relationship. Here, we try to make companies into functioning like families. Here, there is a family which is functioning as a company. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. It's amazing, and it's a challenge, but it's a nice challenge. It's yeah, and what you pointed out is absolutely true. When you have a company that you want everyone to go towards the same way because they want to feel like family, and then you have this side of the company where you have a family that needs to work as a company, and then you start growing and you say, okay, this is not a family company anymore. You need to focus and see how you turn this into a business without losing this closeness that we have. It's a challenge, but it's very nice, and it's a beautiful experience to live that.
I'm sure I can really imagine that. So, Luisa, you've been there in the industry for quite a while, and even if it's a family-run thing, we all have our own struggles. So, has there been any one moment of failure or something very significant and impactful in your journey so far? A turning point, something you can share with our listeners?
Well, to tell you the truth, I cannot think about any failure, as to call it like that. Everything is an experience. I think that turning events is when I decided to come back to Miami. Maybe I was working at another telecom company based in New York, in New Jersey, and when I decided to move back to Miami, I didn't really want to go back to family business yet. I wanted to have a little bit more of the experience. But at that point is when SMS was starting to be a boss, at least in the voice carriers. And I was having conversation, a very light conversation with my dad, and he said he wanted to jump into SMS, and he was speaking with my brother, and they wanted to open this new line of business. And I remember being sitting at the car with my dad at that moment and saying, you know what, I wanted to be at another company, but I guess this could be a very interesting opportunity, for me to go from scratch and try to build, a new product line in the company. And I really want to try to do that. And I think that that's being like the turn of events in my professional life, of saying, okay, I'm going to a corporate work and world, sorry, and work in another company, to, okay, I'm going to come to a family business and the company and try to grow it and do this. So I guess that's what I can think about.
That's interesting. And yeah, I'm sure that these decisions really act as turning points in career and in life. So let's move towards the more human side of things. For Luisa, we are done with work and career talk. So tell us something shocking about Luisa, something which we don't know about, and something which is very interesting and spicy.
Well, there's a couple of things. I like you said, I'm in the Latin side of the world, even though I live in Miami. Miami is a Latin city, so I love to party. I actually am the last one to leave every single party I go to, and I never understand why, but that's me. But at the same time, as you said, I'm very active. In the past 8 years, I found a passion in triathlons. So that's me, and I guess that's shocking because people see me partying and I love to dance and go out and have a few drinks. But the next day, I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I put my running shoes or I take my bike and go around and do a spin. So yeah, that's me.
You'd be the second runner on our show. We had Joanna in episode one, and she also mentioned about how she takes out time during her visits and conferences. So, yeah, I actually remember some of the times that we've met, especially in Chicago, and, partying till late in the night. And I remember we had a morning meeting, and you were all up and about. So, I can totally imagine that it was shocking for me. But I've seen so many people in this telecom industry. They really party hard, and I think they work harder as well. So that's amazing. And tell us a bit more about Colombia. That you said Latin and Latino. So how's the culture there? What's unique out there? What are some things which make Colombia very special?
Oh no, it's a beautiful country. People in Colombia, they are all very happy once you arrive there. Everyone's happy. We love to dance. We love to party. You go any place and everyone's gonna welcome you. Really nice. It's a country that invites you. The culture is beautiful. It's very family oriented. So you see big families. Everyone wants to be together. Every single gathering, there's gonna be food. There's gonna be most likely dance. So it's beautiful. Then the country per se, you find very different things within just one country. So like where I'm from, which is Bogota, you're in the top of a mountain, which is a little bit cold. This is not a freezing city because it's not, it's part of the tropics, but it's cold. And then you drive out of the city for, I'll say, 1 hour, and then you start finding some warm weather. So you have these, changes in from city to city, which it's amazing. And then you have the Caribbean Sea, which is beautiful, and the Pacific, where you can see whales. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can find in Colombia that are absolutely mesmerizing.
How has the triathlon experiences been? Ironman. You said you. How many Ironmans have you done, and how has the experience been? What has been your some learnings or something that you really picked up from this activity?
Wow, so this is an activity that turns your life into something different. I guess when you get into triathlons and then you start doing long distance triathlons like Ironmans, your life changes completely and this becomes a lifestyle because I've done 3 full Ironmans, 7 half Ironmans, and many short distance Ironmans. And to do that, you have to plan a lot. you have to organize your life. You have to make sure that if you want to go and do an Ironman, which consists of 3.8 kilometers swimming, 180 kilometers riding your bike, and then you finish up with a 42-kilometer run, well, you have to prepare for that, right? So you have to prepare not only physically but also mentally, and you have to rest, and you have to eat well, and you have to prepare financially, and you have to do a lot of things in order to achieve these goals. So that's the first thing, and it changes the way you think. This seems like a very harsh thing to do to your body, and it is, but the psychological part of it, the head that you have to put into finishing up an event like this one is, it's a lot, because you're out there for around, professionals do it in 7 hours, but humans like me, we finish up between 10 hours, 12 hours, so you're 10, 11 hours, if working out without stopping, and there's a lot of things that happen within your head, and you feel you have every single feeling in those 10 hours. So you're happy, you're sad, you are excited, you're mad because you got into that crazy thing, you are tired, then you're happy again, and it's, you have so many feelings at the same time. So preparing your head is very, is essential. And the most beautiful thing about this sport and long distance is learning to, is learning about yourself, because when you have these, races, you're all the time learning the power of your mind. And I think that's the best thing about it, is even though your body is saying maybe you can't because everything hurts, your mind says, yes, I am going to finish, and you will finish. And that's what I've learned about this, that the power of the mind is, it's huge.
I agree, and it really helps train your mind. So, Louisa, now I'm gonna give you 5 words, one after the other. I want you to be spontaneous, be honest, be human. Say the first thing that comes to your mind, and let's see what goes inside Louisa's brain. So, the first word is telecom.
Connection.
Okay, Latino.
Flavor.
Okay, that's interesting. So, when you say flavor, what exactly do you mean by that?
In general, in everything, if you see, food, for example, the Latino in general, it's a very flavors food. In the dance, the way we move, the way we speak, the music. So I think it encompasses, like it takes a lot of things into flavor of things, of everything.
So, spicy flavor, I'm guessing. Super hot and super spicy.
There you go.
Your dream.
Oof. To live my fullest life.
Wonderful. Best friend.
Mm. It will be family.
Ah, it's coming from the family business, huh?
Yeah, it's from both sides. So yes, I will say that my family, is my best friend. Family are best friends. At the end, is your best ally, and my best friends and people who are not blood related to me become also family. So it's from both sides.
Absolutely. And lastly, podcasts.
I will say self-teaching.
Uh-huh. And what would you expect the listeners here to learn from our conversation today?
I guess that to learn that there's someone behind, a desk and an office where we are all talking to by the phone in video conferences, and so on, and there's always someone behind that, that face, that has a fun side, that has a life, and yeah, I guess that's part of what you can learn from this type of experience, and this type of podcast.
I think you really captured the purpose of this podcast so well. So, quickly, Louisa, I'm gonna ask you to tell me two truths and one lie, and then I'm gonna try and see if I can guess the right one.
All right. So I know how to surf.
Uh huh.
Um, I am not a very patient person,
Okay.
and I have carried a small alligator in my arms.
So I'm hoping it's you come across as a very patient person. So is that the lie?
It is not.
Oh, that's actually the truth. You're not patient. You
I'm
come
not
across as
patient.
quite
That's a
patient.
truth.
You actually come across as quite patient. All right, let me try once again. I'm quite sure. Actually, I'm sure you know surfing. Actually, so is it the alligator one?
No, so actually, the lie is that I know how to surf. I have carried an alligator in my arms.
Wonderful. So, Louisa, we are in the final section. We'll be signing off with two questions. It's been wonderful talking to you. So, I know you keep traveling around, and I've seen you in different parts of the world. So, the year has just started. Which are some of the places where one can try and catch hold of Louisa? So, where would you be attending next? Where can one find you?
So I'm actually gonna be traveling a lot this year. My first event in the upcoming days will be the one in Barcelona, MWC, and I'm going straight to Dubai for the Middle East capacity event. And most likely, I'll be, of course, here in Miami in one of the conferences that will take place on March and ITW. So yeah, very busy first, half of the year, but I'll be happy to meet anyone over there, and it's always nice, to find friends over there.
So I'm guessing for all the listeners that guys, I'm sure whoever is from the telecom space tuning in into this podcast, that whichever of these conferences you're attending, and I'm sure we are all attending at least one of these, all of them have some part of our dear Louisa in that. So one can find Louisa. So if there is a person out there holding an alligator and trying to impatiently learn how to surf, then we know for a fact that that's Louisa out there.
That's right.
So, Louisa, one final question, and this is our signature question. So, what does being human mean to you? And what sort of a human being would you want the world to remember you as?
For me, being human is, to actually feel, to feel good, to feel bad, to feel sad, to feel happy. That's the difference between us humans and computers. And I want to be remembered as someone, to try the hardest, to try hard in every sense, to try to do the best as a person, as a professional, as a amateur triathlete, and yeah, I just want to be good, and that's my expectations of this life.
And I'm pretty sure you're going on the right track for that, Louisa. So, Louisa, thank you so much on behalf of all the listeners who will be tuning in. And right from the bottom of my heart, it's a pleasure that we could have you here on the show today. Uh, it's right now bang in the middle of the night for me. So I think it's been really worth staying up and having this conversation with you. So, on that note, thank you so much. And I really hope we bump into each other in some of the other conference very soon.
Absolutely, we will, and thank you very much for having me here. I was really happy to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Louisa. And to all our wonderful listeners here, thanks a lot for tuning into the show. We hope this episode gave you a good glimpse of the human side of Louisa and a refreshing relief from the daily chaos that we are all so engrossed in. We shall soon be coming out with yet another episode and another compelling story from someone in the telecom space. So do stay tuned in, do follow the podcast on your preferred streaming channel. On behalf of Humans of Telecom, this is your host Anurag Aggarwal signing off for now. Take care.